Have you ever felt like the world around you suddenly became clearer? Like you could see through the noise, the distractions, and the chaos, and understand life on a deeper level? That's what happens when you begin to awaken spiritually. But here's the truth most people never realize is spiritual awakening is not something to be shown off. It's something to be protected. Alan Watts once said, the more a thing tends to be permanent, the more it tends to be lifeless. What he meant was that real growth, real spiritual understanding is alive, changing, and deeply personal. And in that journey, there are certain things you should never reveal to anyone, because the moment you start sharing everything you've discovered, you risk losing the purity and power of it. So today, let's talk about the 5 sacred things you should never reveal when you are spiritually awake. 1. Your deepest realizations and practices. When you truly awaken, you begin to experience insights that words can't fully describe. You start to see the world differently. The illusions, the attachments, the ego games. But the moment you try to explain these realizations to others, they often get misunderstood or dismissed. Alan Watts believed that truth is like water. It finds its own level, so let it flow quietly within you. Not everyone will understand your depth, and that's okay. Keep your spiritual realizations sacred. They're meant to transform you, not to impress others. 2. Your inner struggles and darkness. Every awakened soul goes through pain, confusion, and inner battles. But sharing your spiritual pain with the wrong person can invite judgment or pity instead of understanding. The darkness you overcome becomes your strength. It doesn't need to be validated. Remember, your scars are sacred. They are proof of your inner evolution. Heal them in silence. Growth doesn't need an audience. 3. Your source of power or peace. Whether it's meditation, prayer, nature, or a specific spiritual practice, never reveal what connects you most deeply to your inner peace. Once you expose it, others may project their opinions or energy onto it, and that can weaken your connection. Protect your sacred routine. It's your private doorway to divine clarity, and not everyone is meant to walk through it with you. 4. Your future visions or intuitive insights. When your consciousness expands, your intuition becomes sharper. You start sensing things before they happen. But sharing those visions or feelings can attract disbelief or negative energy. Some people will question your intuition because they cannot perceive what you can. So, let your inner knowing guide your steps silently. Wisdom speaks loudest in silence. 5. Your acts of kindness and good deeds. True spirituality isn't about showing the world how good you are. It's about being good even when no one's watching. Alan Watts beautifully said, trying to define yourself is like trying to bite your own teeth. When you help someone, when you give, when you show compassion, let it be between you and the universe. The moment you seek recognition, the purity of your act fades. Let your kindness remain invisible. The universe always keeps count. Not everything sacred is meant to be shared. Some truths are meant to be protected in silence. There are certain experiences in life that carry a power so deep, so transformative, that words can never do them justice. These moments are not meant for public display, nor are they meant to be explained to those who have not walked the same path. When you experience true spiritual awakening, it is not an achievement to be announced. It is a realization to be lived quietly. The energy that flows through you during such moments is divine, fragile, and pure. It demands protection, not exposure. In today's world, people share everything. Their thoughts, their struggles, their emotions, even their spiritual moments, as if validation from others gives meaning to what they feel. But the truth is, sacred things lose their essence when they are spoken too soon or too freely. The moment you try to explain the unexplainable, you reduce its depth. Silence, in its mystery, preserves the beauty of what you have discovered. It allows your realization to grow stronger within you before it faces the noise of the world. When you protect something sacred, you are not hiding it out of fear, you are honoring it with respect. The human mind often wants to express everything it learns, but the soul knows that true power grows in stillness. Silence becomes a form of devotion, an invisible temple where your connection to the divine deepens. In that space, your thoughts begin to clear, your emotions become calm, and your energy transforms into peace. The world doesn't need to know what you have found. The world only needs to feel the change in your presence. There is a quiet strength in keeping sacred truths within yourself. When you hold your realizations with care, they guide your actions, shape your character, and illuminate your path without a single word being spoken. You begin to understand that the most powerful transformations do not happen in public, they happen in the unseen corners of your heart. You learn to observe without judgment, to love without condition, and to live without the constant need for acknowledgement. Silence becomes your teacher, and solitude becomes your sanctuary. Some truths are too delicate to survive in the open air of conversation. When you share a deep realization with someone who cannot understand its depth, they may unintentionally distort or dismiss it. Their reactions might weaken your belief or shift your perspective. That is why wise souls throughout history, monks, mystics, and enlightened beings have always valued silence. They knew that every truth has its time to be spoken, and some truths are never meant to be spoken at all. They belong only to the inner world, where words fail, but understanding blooms. In protecting what is sacred, you also protect your energy. Every time you share something deeply personal, you invite other people's opinions, energies, and emotions into your space. Not everyone will resonate with your journey, and not everyone should. Your spiritual path is unique to your soul's evolution. The more you guard it, the more authentic it becomes. The less you explain it, the more it unfolds naturally. There is beauty in secrecy, not the secrecy of deception, but the secrecy of reverence. When you choose silence, you are not isolating yourself, you are cultivating inner harmony. You learn to listen more to your intuition, to your heart, to the universe. The stillness within you becomes louder than the noise outside you. You start noticing signs, synchronicities, and subtle messages that were always there but unnoticed. In silence, you align with a higher rhythm, one that doesn't need recognition, one that doesn't need applause. Not everything sacred is meant to be shared because some things lose their strength when exposed. Like a delicate flame, if you protect it from the wind, it grows and gives light. But if you expose it too early, it flickers and fades. Your realizations, your moments of awakening, your spiritual connections, they are your inner flame. Let them burn quietly, lighting your path from within. Silence is not emptiness, it is the space where your truth breathes freely. True spiritual awakening doesn't seek attention, it blossoms quietly within, turning pain into wisdom and silence into strength. It is not something that happens with loud declarations or visible transformation, but through gentle shifts that occur deep inside the soul. Spiritual awakening is not about showing the world how enlightened you have become. It's about realizing how little the external world matters in comparison to the universe within you. It is the process of unlearning illusions, shedding layers of ego, and discovering a peace that cannot be taken away. When a person is truly awakened, they no longer feel the need to prove anything to anyone. The desire for validation fades, replaced by a calm understanding that truth doesn't need an audience. You begin to see that every pain you have faced, every loss, and every confusion were never punishments, they were lessons. Each challenge was preparing you for this state of awareness, where you no longer react to life but respond with clarity. The storms that once broke you now teach you. The silence that once frightened you now heals you. Pain becomes your greatest teacher when you stop running from it. Instead of asking, "Why me?" you start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" In those quiet moments of reflection, pain turns into wisdom. It shapes your understanding of life, of yourself, and of others. You begin to recognize that growth often comes wrapped in discomfort. The things that once felt unbearable are now seen as necessary steps toward your awakening. Every wound becomes a doorway to deeper self-awareness. Silence plays a sacred role in this journey. In silence, you meet yourself fully. There are no distractions, no masks, no noise, just you and your truth. It's in this silence that you find your real strength. Not the kind of strength that fights or resists, but the kind that accepts and endures. You learn to sit with your thoughts without fear, to feel your emotions without judgment, and to observe your life from a place of inner stillness. This is the essence of spiritual maturity. Finding power in peace and courage in calm. True spiritual awakening doesn't demand to be seen or recognized. It's not about changing how others perceive you, but about transforming how you perceive everything around you. You begin to live more consciously, seeing the divine in small moments, in the sound of rain, in a stranger's smile, in your own breath. Life becomes sacred not because it has changed, but because you have. The same world that once felt chaotic now feels harmonious. The same people who once tested your patience now teach you compassion. As this awareness deepens, you start realizing that silence is not emptiness. It is presence. It holds the answers that words cannot express. You find yourself drawn to peace, not because the world outside has become quieter, but because you have. You no longer chase after recognition or attention, because you understand that everything external is temporary. What matters is what grows within you, that silent strength that no one can take away. This kind of awakening makes you humble. You stop trying to control life and start flowing with it. You stop needing constant excitement and begin cherishing stillness. You stop comparing your journey to others and start honoring your own path. In that humility, you discover true freedom. Freedom from fear, from ego, from the endless need to be seen. The most beautiful thing about spiritual awakening is that it happens silently, without announcement, without display. No one may even notice the change in you, yet everything within you changes. You carry a peace that cannot be disturbed, a light that doesn't fade, and a strength that doesn't shout. You begin to walk through the world differently, softer, wiser, calmer, because you have learned that real power doesn't roar. It glows quietly from within.